What's going on, everybody? GFM Podcast back at it again. I'm doing a little review today on I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside, an album by Earl Sweatshirt, which came out in 2015. It's got 10 songs on it. It's about 30 minutes and 1 second long exactly. So we have Huey starting off this album, kind of an upbeat instrumental for this song, just Earl kind of rapping, barring out a little bit. And then at the end of this song, we get a voice telling us now for a formal introduction, and we get right into Mantra. Based off Huey, you would not know what this album's really going to pertain here. You're just kind of like, okay, I'm kind of liking the flow, I'm liking the beat a little bit, it's uplifting. To me, it kind of sounds like carnival music, that beat. Not in a bad way either, just like kind of a carnival game. I don't know why it takes me to that place, but that's what it takes me to. But from there, yes, we get into Mantra. And Mantra is just a whole different direction. It gets really dark. Earl talking about people switching up on him. And then from there, a lot of the next songs, we got Mantra, Faucet, Grief, very dark sounding songs, like a little trio within the album, if you will. So Mantra, pretty dark. And then Faucet is just a very dark place for Earl. Struggling. He doesn't know which house to call home. He wants to break his phone. He doesn't want to talk to anybody. And it's almost like this album encapsulates the feeling of like just depression and kind of hanging out with the wrong group of friends who you thought might be the right group. Bad relationships with family, with girlfriend, with whoever. Just kind of encapsulates that feeling. And then kind of I don't want to say addiction. I don't want to say it for Earl, but kind of sounds like an addiction with drugs or a problem with drugs and drinking in general. It's very thematic for this album. So we go from Mantra, we get into Faucet, very dark. Like I said, doesn't know what to call home. From Faucet, we get into Grief. And Grief is one of the coolest dark instrumentals I have probably ever heard on a rap album, because it just encapsulates that feeling of grief. I don't know what it is, what that beat does, but it's just a very dark. And then when you watch the music video with it, it's all inverted colors, and it's kind of hard to, there's drugs involved. And Earl says he's been reaping what he sows. He hasn't been outside in a minute. He's been living what he wrote. And it just kind of encapsulates that depression feeling again, that feeling of not wanting to go outside, but kind of on your own terms. Because you don't want to go, not because you can't, but you just don't want to. Your body's telling you no. Then from there we get into Off Top. So immediately into Off Top we have, Earl just talking about, I need to stop smoking. I need to, kind of prioritize what I'm doing in this life. And he's just talking about how he can only trust people as far as he can throw them. He wants to know what your motive is towards him. He's trying to pay his mom's rent. He says he figures that's just what he owes her. That's kind of the theme of this song here. From Off Top, we get into Grown Ups, featuring Dash. And once again, this song is kind of just like Earl contemplating with his fame, kind of struggling with like his religion. And then the Dash feature in this, they play off each other pretty well in this song, I feel like. But from going into Grown Ups, we have now AM/radio. This song has a Wiki feature in it. If you don't know Wiki, you got to check him out. Him and Earl have some really good songs together. I think a lot of people didn't like this feature from Wiki in the song, but I think it kind of just plays well with Earl on this song. Talking about being 19, still getting kicked out the crib. That's Wiki talking right there. Just talking about kind of priorities. He's not prioritizing his life right. We get into some other stuff here. But I think that this song overall was kind of a switch for the album. It's got some cool samples in it. But from there we go into Inside. And on Inside, it's just kind of Earl talking about his circle. He's keeping it closed, keeping certain people in his circle. During this time, there was a kind of a split with Odd Future, so there was some undertones of, well, there's a lot of people guessing that some of these songs were about Tyler, the Creator, and I don't really know if Earl ever says they were or not, but he's definitely talking about some bad friendships he's had and some bad relationships with friends he's had. And this song just kind of plays off that again. Then from Inside, we get into DNA with Knockout. This is one of my favorite songs off the album just because I really like how him and Knockout play off each other here. And Knockout's kind of verse is super different than Earl's. It brings this very emotional, he's talking about, I believe right before he recorded this verse, actually Knockout found out one of his really close friends had passed away. And so that's why a lot of Knockout's verse on this song are about, talking about, almost like he's talking to this friend that's passed away. He says, my bro left today, hot sauce on my cup of noodles, you taught me that. I ain't seen you in years, and this news right here almost made me had a heart attack. It's just him kind of venting on this song, and I believe Earl, when Knockout found out about his friend passing, he was just like, I'm just going to go on this song and kind of spray out my feelings. And that's why this song is really special to me, because I feel like that's a piece that a lot of people don't know, or just in general, people don't really understand or maybe know. And so when you kind of get that backstory to it, it makes a Knockout verse a lot more sensible, and you can kind of really understand where he's coming from. And it just kind of plays on this whole sad, depressed, dark album, and it's almost like it was like a necessary emotion for this song, if you can get behind that. No one wants anybody to pass away, but it happens, and Knockout really spits what he's feeling on this song, and it turns out to be a really good verse on this song, in my opinion. I like how the beat kind of just fades out towards the end after Knockout's verse. From there, we just have Wool. Most played song on the album on Spotify. I just found that out today, but Wool is a song with Vince Staples. And that probably is the reason why it has so many plays, because Earl and Vince do really, really good together. It's just kind of them just popping off, rapping. I remember during this time, Vince was saying that he wishes he could just rap about being a rapper and rap about rap like Earl was able to. Vince was always rapping about the streets and stuff like that, and growing up, and how his life was growing up. And this is it's kind of just a good outro to the album. It's just Earl and Vince going back. They're super close, so I really like the fact that Earl put a lot of people on this album that he cares about, and a lot of people he's been close with. Wiki and Vince and Dash, and Tyler, the Creator, does similar things specifically on his older albums with Jasper and Earl and Taco, and just all these people he would put on. He had Left Brain do one of his beats early on, and so overall this album, I think it was really good. I have a ton of nostalgia with it. One of my best friends and I just used to listen to it all the time, and this is actually the first album I ever got on vinyl, so it means a lot to me. I hold it close to my heart, and it was sad to see Earl go through this time period when this album came out, but the interviews that came out around the same time shed a lot of light on what he was going through, his situation, and clearly now he's making really good music. Definitely a different category than this type of rap, but he's making some really good stuff. So yeah, if you haven't heard this album before, I definitely recommend going and listening to it. Like I said, you get a lot from this album. A kind of a deep dive into Earl's life and what he was going through at this time. But I really recommend this to anybody that hasn't heard it yet. And yes, that is going to do it for this album review. Overall, great album, and yeah, stay tuned, listen to more stuff. We got stuff coming on the way on Spotify, more stuff on YouTube, and just letting you guys know now, I probably will revisit a lot of these albums in the future, just to give a more polished version of what I'm giving you guys now. I'm just starting out, so this is what I have for you guys today, and I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more.